Hey everyone, I'm Guillermo Schwartz, also known as Amelie, and I'm the representative for the group, the Brick Breakers. Our game Crunch Time was created by 4 wonderful people. First, we have Samuel, who created the initial idea of the game as well as its line art. Secondly, we have Laura, who rendered in the line art and generally made it look good by coloring it in, giving it shading, giving it lighting, etc., etc. Thirdly, we have Cole, who wrote every single line of code, all the dialogue, made the button sound effects. Give him mad props, y'all. He worked really hard. And finally, I did a little bit of everything. Primarily, my job was to create the music of the game as well as the story. But seeing how all my other group mates, Cole, were doing so much work, I decided to give myself the job of creative design lead, whatever that means. Well, it generally meant that I just shoved my nose into places where it didn't really need to be shoved into, and ended up overcomplicating things. Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry anyways. Whether that's a good or bad thing is up for you to decide, but I guess I also wrote the call to action bit of the game, you know, the little portion at the end that talks about crunch culture. Yeah, I wrote that. I didn't implement it. Cole did that, but I wrote the dialogue for that. Don't get me wrong, we all did tremendous amounts of work. I'm just nitpicky and like keeping my demons away by drowning myself in work that stops me from thinking how shitty the world is. Speaking of shitty things, crunch culture is bad. It's also the topic of our game. Imagine that! A game titled Crunch Time is about crunch culture. Who would have guessed? Not me. Anyways, a little background on what crunch culture is. Crunch culture, or crunch, is a festering tumor that plagues the game design industry. It's a moment or moments in a game's development wherein developers are forced to work long, hard weeks for a number of reasons. Now, it may sound like I'm complaining, and I am, but for a good reason. Crunch times can extend anywhere from 40 to 60 to 80 plus hours a week of work. That means getting into work every day at 6 a.m., getting out at 6 p.m. Every single day, weekends included. To add insult to injury, it's commonplace, if not standard, for the hours worked by these developers to go unrecognized by their company. This means that your corporate overlords are oftentimes not gracious enough to grant you basic necessities like overtime pay, or sick leave, or a fucking weekend. And oftentimes, the workload is double, triple, or even beyond your usual load for weeks, months, or even years at a time. Imagine that. Doing a job that comfortably takes 3 people to do by yourself for 80 plus hours a week without overtime pay, weekends, or vacations. The mere thought alone makes me feel exhausted and furious. But this isn't a place for me to vent, so back on topic. Our game can be played on itch.io, the link of which should be in the description of this video. You can experience up to 3 different paths to take in this short game, and then you're met with a call to action written by yours truly. So I'm sorry if it's a little heated. Anyways, I think it's fun. We all put our hearts into it, and personally, I would appreciate it if you went and gave our game a shot, and therefore validated all of our hard work. And I, again, personally would appreciate it if you came and gave me critiques and advice on the game. Tell me what you think works, what doesn't. I very much am a strong believer in trials by fire, so I always take critique to heart. I don't know about the other people, but I do. So, yeah, that's it. Later.